Thank you. We have the ramping up of facial recognition. We've got 30 arrests a day for social media posts. We're getting rid of trial by jury in most cases. And we've also got children being radicalised in our schools by left-wing teachers. And now this government are trying to force digital ID onto us all. And the excuse that they're using, Sir Edward, is that it will stop illegal migrants from working. Now, if the Prime Minister was really serious about stopping illegal migrants from working, then he would detain and deport every single illegal migrant that crosses the English Channel. But of course he won't. This is a gimmick. It's a pathetic attempt by a weak Prime Minister who has lost total control. Over 5,000 of my constituents signed this petition, and they do not want this government poking their noses into their private lives. My constituents are not illegal migrants. They did not break into this country. They are decent, hard-working people whose fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers fought in 2 world wars to secure our freedoms. And every single working person in Ashfield is now going to be penalised because of the failures of this government. You don't need a digital ID to work in this country. You need a national insurance number backed up with a driving licence, a passport or some photo ID. And my message to the government, Sir Edward, is quite clear. You allow undocumented men into our country with no ID at all. You pick them up and place them in luxury hotels with no ID at all. You then give them a free asylum claim and free legal aid with no ID at all. Yet you are ordering my constituents in Ashfield to get digital ID, and then you have the cheek to call us fascists. That's what they do. So just leave my constituents alone and concentrate on clearing up the mess that you lot created.
This speech is a powerful and emotional warning about digital ID, government authority, and the balance between national security and personal freedom. It reflects a growing concern among many politicians and members of the public who fear that new technology and government powers could fundamentally change the relationship between citizens and the state. At the heart of the argument is the claim that Britain is moving toward greater surveillance and control. The speaker begins by referencing facial recognition technology, arrests related to social media, and potential changes to the justice system. These points are presented not as isolated developments, but as part of a broader pattern, a steady expansion of state power into everyday life. Facial recognition technology, for example, has been introduced in several areas across the UK, primarily to help police identify suspects and prevent crime. Supporters argue that it makes communities safer and allows law enforcement to act faster and more efficiently. But critics worry about privacy. They fear that constant monitoring could lead to a society where people feel watched all the time, even when they've done nothing wrong. And that fear connects directly to the next issue raised in the speech, digital ID. The government's argument for digital ID is based on efficiency and security. A digital system could make it easier to verify identity, prevent fraud, and ensure that only people with the legal right to work can access employment. In theory, it could simplify processes that currently rely on physical documents, reduce paperwork, and modernize outdated systems. But the speaker strongly rejects that explanation. They argue that digital ID is not really about stopping illegal work. Instead, they frame it as an unnecessary intrusion into the lives of ordinary citizens. This is a classic political argument centered around trust. Because ultimately, the debate over digital ID is not just about technology. It's about whether people trust the government to use that technology responsibly. If people trust their government, they may see digital ID as a useful tool. If they don't trust their government, they may see it as a dangerous step towards surveillance and control. The speaker also highlights what they see as a contradiction. They claim that illegal migrants are allowed to enter and remain in the country without proper identification, while law-abiding citizens are being asked to accept stricter identity requirements. This argument is designed to appeal to a sense of fairness. It suggests that the government is targeting the wrong people, focusing on those who follow the rules instead of those who break them. Whether or not that claim reflects the full complexity of immigration policy, it resonates emotionally with people who feel that systems should treat citizens fairly and equally. Another key theme in the speech is freedom. The speaker references previous generations who fought in wars to protect liberty, suggesting that new identification systems could undermine those hard-won freedoms. This is a powerful rhetorical technique because it connects modern policy debates to historical sacrifice. It frames the issue not just as a bureaucratic change, but as something that affects national identity and core values. It raises a fundamental question: how much control should a government have over its citizens' identities? In modern societies, identification systems are already part of everyday life. People use passports, driving licenses, national insurance numbers, and other forms of ID regularly. These systems exist because they help maintain order and prevent fraud. But digital ID represents a shift in how that information could be stored and used. Instead of physical documents held by individuals, identity could become part of centralized digital systems. That shift raises legitimate questions about data security, privacy, and potential misuse. People want to know who controls the data. They want to know how it will be protected. And they want to know whether it could ever be used beyond its original purpose. These concerns are not unique to Britain. Countries around the world are debating the same issues. Some countries have successfully implemented digital ID systems that improve efficiency and convenience. Others have faced backlash due to privacy concerns and fears of government overreach. The difference often comes down to transparency and trust. When governments clearly explain how systems work, what safeguards exist, and how rights will be protected, public confidence increases. When communication is unclear or inconsistent, suspicion grows. The speaker also uses strong language to criticize the government's leadership, describing it as weak and ineffective. This reflects the highly confrontational nature of modern political debate, where opponents often frame policies as evidence of broader failure. But beneath the political rhetoric lies a genuine and important discussion about the future. Technology is advancing rapidly. Governments are gaining new tools, and societies must decide how those tools should be used. Digital identity could make life easier in many ways. It could reduce fraud. It could speed up services. It could simplify verification. But it could also change how identity is managed and monitored. And that's why debates like this matter. Because once systems are introduced, they can be difficult to revise. So decisions must be made carefully, with full consideration of both benefits and risks. This speech reflects one side of that debate, a perspective rooted in caution, skepticism, and a desire to protect individual freedom. Others will argue that modernization is necessary and that digital systems are simply the next step in an increasingly technological world. Ultimately, the outcome will depend on public opinion, political leadership, and the balance between security and liberty. Because in the end, this is not just a debate about digital ID. It's a debate about trust, freedom, and the future relationship between citizens and the state.